All right, so today we're going to talk about board members because we know that this is a subject that is sometimes difficult to accomplish. So I want to go through this process of getting board members for your organization so that you all have the ability, the capability to really strategize as you move forward, particularly as it relates to getting board members. Okay. Um, Board members are volunteers. Board members are volunteers. Board members are donors. Okay. Board members are people that are and should be aligned your organization. So you don't want people that are just on your board. You want people who are on board. And when I mean on board, I mean that they are on board with understanding the importance of your organization's work, on board with making sure that your organization has what it needs. Why is that important to them? Because your mission matters to them, because your mission resonates with them, because your mission, right, is something that, hey, Mel, that your mission is something that is important for you, for them, that you fulfill successfully. Now, these are people who are there to help you organize. They're there to help you strategize. They're there to help you execute, right? Execute what? Execute your reach, execute your capacity building efforts, execute your brand messaging being broadened, execute your ability and your capability of making new relationships, developing new relationships, maintaining new relationships, sustaining new relationships. So they're not there just to sit in meetings. They really should be people who are passionate about the mission of your work. Now, where do we find them? Where do we find board members? Where do we find people that are close to the organization, involved with the behind the scenes of the organization? By that, I mean the financials. By that, I mean the strategic planning. By that, I mean the decision making on the movement of the organization and its ability to achieve its mission and vision. Okay. So board seats are an important role for the business. Okay. As an organization, it is your opportunity to engage, to introduce, to invite, to inspire people to be aligned with the mission of the organization, people to really express and communicate their passion for the work. Now, how do you or how are you positioning your organization to that end? Okay. Um, a great place to find board members are people who are already your existing volunteers, people who are already a part of your work. Now, if you don't have volunteers, my question would be, have you set up a structure and a place for volunteers to be engaged, to be involved, to be inspired, to be responsible, to be accountable to the success of the organization? I know a lot of times organization says, well, I need somebody to come answer the phones, or I need somebody to do a job, basically. I need them to come and, I need them to help with fundraising. I need volunteers to do a job, right? And we want, yay, Mel. And we want them to do the work that we may not have the resources to pay someone else to do. But I challenge you to create opportunities where they are responsible. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. The American Red Cross, as you all know, that I was an executive director of the American Red Cross, and that is a volunteer-led organization. So the people that respond to the fires in the middle of the night are volunteers. They're all volunteers, right? They don't get paid. They get up in the middle of the night out of their bed. They rotate, they all have the emergency kits, they go out there, they fill out the paperwork. They're doing the work for their neighbors that they are passionate about. They do all the reporting. That's all volunteers. But they're doing a work that's meaningful and that is of interest to them, right? When I was at the Los Angeles Mission, when I was the vice president at the Los Angeles Mission, we would have feeding programs, okay? We would have feeding programs. And this feeding program, we would get volunteers. We would get volunteers to organize the clothing room. We would get volunteers to pass out meals. We would get volunteers to hand out. We would give them real key positions where they could take ownership and be able to really celebrate with the organization and doing the work. I tell people all the time, you know, when you're doing these backpack drives, and I don't know if you all have heard me say this, I hate these backpack drives. They drive me crazy. But if you have volunteers to not just stuff the backpacks, but help pass them out, right? If you've got a program where your volunteers can help with the scheduling or the coordinating or the assembling or the management of a task that's meaningful to the organization, how are they rewarded? I buy them lunch. I give them gift cards. I show my appreciation because they're giving of their time. Now, I don't think, you know, we would schedule volunteers except for the American Red Cross. Now that waking up in the middle of the night, these are people that were passionate about serving. They were altruists. They really were altruists. But I would schedule them on like 90-minute time slots and let them choose the time that's best for them. If they wanted to take two slots, totally up to them, right? Another way that you could utilize volunteers is, you know, with writing letters or writing notes or helping those who are very administratively inclined. Those volunteers that are social, those socialite volunteers, they have a beautiful home and they love throwing parties. They love throwing parties, right? They like hosting. My point is this. Where are you creating opportunities for people to learn more about what you do through a volunteer efforts? This is like you give them an inside peek. You get to not only give them something out to do, but you guys can kind of get to know each other, that while they're volunteering, you're having conversations. So tell me what you like about our organization. Tell me what it is that you're passionate about our organization. Tell me all those questions that are in that nonprofit startup guide, right? You can talk to them about, you know, what other kind of organizations do you volunteer for? How much time do you volunteer, right? And if they're retired or if they're still working, but they just like to be busy. Some people who you put in leadership positions in their volunteer experiences, they show you that they can finish tasks. They show you that they are timely. They show you that they are assertive. They show you that they're strategic. They show you that they work well with others. They show you that they can communicate. All those things are going to be essential to board members. I tell people that if you can, see if they make a good volunteer before you put them on the board. If they are good volunteers, if they are great volunteers, they're likely to be great board members. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? You get an opportunity to try them on, and they get an opportunity to try you on as well when they volunteer, okay? The next place is people who are in your donor network, right? These are people that have been supportive. These are people that that give to your organization. You know, they give and they give in kind, those kinds of things. People who have supported your organization for a while. They've been a consistent, repetitive supporter of the organization. They may have been quiet, right? If they've been given a monthly gift, if they've been giving for more than a year, I would invite them to a conversation to say, listen, I know that you've been supporting this organization for a long time, wanting to know your interest in the organization. Are you interested in being more involved in the organization? These people who give to what you do, they might like very well make great board members, right? They can be the voice of support. They can be the voice of financial support. They can be the ones that are out in the community talking and sharing about why engaging and communicating and giving to this organization is important. All right. You might want to take recommendations from your current board members. Now, that's barring that you did not put your mother, your brother, your dog, your cat, your fish on the board and they don't have any connections and they're just there because of you. But ideally, if you have board members, current board members, particularly those who may be lapsing within a year or so, asking them, do you know anyone else that has experience as being a board member? You've been a valuable board member. It's going to be hard to replace you, particularly again, if they're rolling off. Maybe they know and can help you network. Does that make sense? Identify someone that represents the reason your nonprofit was founded. This can be, a former client. This could be not a client, a participant, a person who has successfully completed your program and have gone on, but can speak to the importance of this work, can speak to their personal experience with this work. And maybe they would like to be a part of the organization that's helped change their lives to give back to change to others. Okay. Utilizing social media, engaging in board development workshops, creating a section on your website that is designated just for board members, right? And where you can put information about the board that we meet quarterly. Our meetings are about 60 minutes. These are the some of the strategic plans that the organization will be working with. These are some of the areas of interest that the other board members come from, right? Give some general information about the organization on your website. Use research tools like there's a group there's a site called Board Source. That's a place where people go and are looking for board members, boards to participate in. There's a group, Volunteer Match is another one where people who are on Volunteer Match are looking for opportunities for board memberships. And LinkedIn, right? Host a volunteer fair. Invite some of your donors, invite some of your participants, invite people who can come and learn more about your organization before they make a commitment to serve on the board, right? Invite them to a board meeting, right? They don't need to be there for the financial conversations, but they can come and be a part of the general conversations, the executive director report, the program report. They could come and meet some of the other board members and just see how they engage to see if they feel comfortable, right? So it's like an orientation, invitation, but before we seal the deal and sign on the dotted line, let's learn a little bit more about each other and then make a decision, right? So, what are your thoughts about what I've shared? Tell me what your thoughts are.
Basically, we could be resourceful and use people who we're already working with and just keep an open mind about that opportunity. So the volunteers that are working, with us and around us, and the people who are already giving to some degree. So volunteers are giving with their time and in-kind people are giving with their donations. So definitely to be more resourceful with the people who already have an idea of what you do and how you do it.
Good one. Anyone else?
I did have a question, Miss Jen.
Uh-huh.
So what is there a difference between like a local advisory committee and a board, or are they the same?
So board members vote. Board members take part in the decision making of the organization. Board members review financials. Board members are part of the strategic process. Okay. Committee members are there to focus on a specific part of the committee. Let's say they are HR committee, right? Let's say they're there because of their areas of expertise and interest in that subject matter. They could be a part of your, they could be a fundraising committee, or they could be an event committee, or they could be a committee regarding, let's see, what's another one? HR is one. They could be a hiring committee, right? So they're there specifically for a task, but they're not a voting member, right? If they're not already, board members vote. Board members are a part of the official organizing, implementing, strategic planning. Committees hold a different role. Now, some board members might be on a committee, but if you have a group of, let's say you have a capital campaign committee, you're bringing in bank funders, you're bringing in others from the community that have a specific area of expertise, they're there just for that task. And then they may dissolve, right? Let's say for the HR committee, the HR committee may only show up or be present if and when there's an HR issue, or they may come together to complete the like say HR policies, HR procedures, and then they may dissolve themselves once that task is done. Am I making sense of what I'm saying?
Yes. So, okay, I'll tell you specifically, my bosses told me to acquire a LAC and see if they would commit for the year.
Commit what for the year?
Commit to being part of the committee for a year.
What committee?
A local advisory committee.
And what would that advisory committee do?
I would have them focus on fundraising.
Okay. Are they current donors?
No, they don't exist.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. So she's saying, we need help with fundraising. Go out there and find a bunch of people, put them on a committee, and task them with raising money, basically.
Yes.
Got it. So that's not unheard of. But this is the opportunity that you have. I don't want to use the word challenge. I'm going to say opportunity. You have an opportunity to identify people who are passionate about the work, because fundraising is communication. So you want people who are knowledgeable about the organization, who are familiar with talking to people, initiating conversations, public speakers. You're going to have to orientate them in terms of the program mission, the goals, the objectives, because that's what they're going to have to respond to. The questions that are in the nonprofit startup guide are questions that they're going to need to be able to answer, right? So these are people that are not just people, but they are people that can be the face of, be the initiator of conversations with others. Now, either if she's assuming that they have relationships and that they'll just go out and get their relationships to give, that may be what she's thinking. She's like, go out and find some people and have them bring all their all their connections to the organization. Now that's one way of it, but when that person is no longer with the organization, you don't want them to say, okay, well, I gave because this my friend was on this committee, but now they're gone, I'm no longer giving. You want to just be careful of that. Am I making sense in what I'm saying?
Yes, I was thinking to acquire like a group to help me with a specific fundraiser that I have in mind, and then see if I could use that as a platform.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, make sure it's organized because people don't want to come into a volunteer experience and it's not organized. All right. So make sure
Right.
you have everything that they need, everything that they have. If they need envelopes, if they need notepads, if they need receipts, if they need whatever it is that they're going to need, make sure you are ready. Because if they come and say, I need this, I need this, I need this, you're like, oh wait, I don't have that. Oh wait, I don't have that. Oh wait, it's gonna cause them to not feel as enthused. They're gonna lose their enthusiasm. They're like, man, I'm on a roll, but now I told that person I would get a receipt, and then I come over here and we don't have any receipts. Now I got to go back and tell them, no, we don't have any receipts. You know what I mean? Make sure that it's organized, is all I'm saying.
Okay. I see. I see why that's important too.
Yeah. So I think your accountability book is going to really be helpful in that regard in terms of just factoring in. Do we
Mm-hmm.
have everything for them? Do we have envelopes? Do we have receipts? Do we have mission statements? Do we have information about our budget that they can understand that we're raising money for this and this is where the money is going to go? Right? So that you give them the ability, you give them the resource that they're going to need to be successful. So just totally think that through. Create benchmarks, create what the goal is, create opportunities for them to engage with each other for accountability and for reporting, So it's not just bring people on and let them go. Just bring them on and let
Right.
them go do their thing. They're
Right.
representing your organization.
I will say that I've been practicing doing this on a smaller scale. So like with my volunteer teams, they're just volunteer teams, and a lot of them are students. And so I'm not working with them and thinking that they're going to, be donors. But they are good practice for me to have things organized, have tasks ready, have materials ready, even water and maybe like a snack or two, just having it be an experience. And I actually have a volunteer that I'm meeting with tomorrow, that had a good experience with us. And so I'm hoping that she would be a little bit more consistent with us.
Yay. And so how many are you thinking, or is your executive director thinking to be on this committee?
She recommended 3 to 5 people.
Okay. That's not bad. Just
Mm-hmm.
as long as they have relationships or they may come to you and say, do you have a list of people you want us to reach out to?
So yes, that's the problem with like maybe one of the people I'm thinking. They really believe in our program. They are a strong ally. They have helped me make a lot of connections, but they are not, they're like very introverted
Mhm.
and they don't have connections per se. Um,
So based on that, you want to have people operate within their strengths.
right.
These are people that may be connectors, but
Yeah.
they're not social people. They're totally
Mm-hmm.
introverts, but I just know a lot of people. They may be the ones to make the phone call, and then you and or another committee person go and have the conversation. So it's not to
Right. So you're saying it's okay to
everybody.
have somebody like that
Oh yeah, everybody
on the team.
doesn't have the, what is it? We're all many members, one body. Not everybody does the same job, right?
Right.
So you make sure that everyone is operating within their strength without overtaxing them, because they're not going to do what they're not comfortable doing. They're not. They just don't, they're not able to do it. So
Right.
put them in the position where they can feel and be successful and do the work that they can do. All right. So if they're not social, but they are connectors, they like to research connections, right? They like to know who knows who and how should we know them. Then that's what they do. And then they could be the ones that either send the note, make the phone call, and say, I know so and so, would you be willing to have a meeting with, you know, Mel and another, whoever the other board member is. They may be the one to do that.
Yeah, because I explained this to my boss and they want me to not bother with that person. But I think that they do not realize a lot of my biggest connections, my strongest connections, including a college president, was because of this person. So I'm going against I'm going against that.
It sounds like that they're wanting somebody who has connections already and are willing to go
Mhm.
on their own and just go be our fundraising committee. Go raise money for us. And now let me say this. We see this happening right now within this Vice President Kamala Harris. These volunteers are driven by what? Their interest. They're volunteering because they are excited. They are motivated. People give because of what they get out of it, right? So it's not just bring people to come together and do what we want them to do. We've got to tie in, what is it about this that would make them satisfied? What about this is of interest to them? Because that's what's going to motivate them to keep going. It's not a one-sided interaction. It's a transaction. Am I making sense in what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's easy to say, get a bunch of people and have them go fundraise for us. But we also have to give them a what's in it for them. Yes, we want that. Absolutely, we want that. It's not impossible. It is
Mhm.
very doable. It's very
Mhm.
doable. Just making sure that you are stewarding those relationships, just making sure that you are giving them satisfaction as well, because that's what's going to keep them connected and motivated and inspired because of what it's giving them. Otherwise, they're going to think about, Lord, I got to do this job.
Mhm.
Go out here and make these phone calls. I'm busy too. Let me see. I'll put in about 30 minutes.
So, Miss Jen, okay, so the socialite group that likes to do things with my program participants, they want to do like a baking lesson, right? It feels like to me like a backpack thing. Like I'm trying to like see what I can make of this. But it's really that they like doing things with my program participants. So I guess my thought is like, make, how can I accommodate that socialite group? Like, how can I make the most of it for them?
I would make it about, I would one, record the experience, but I would also want them to talk to me on camera about why this program is important to them and what is it that they would love for this experience, this baking experience, to give to these young people. And as a donor, as a contributor to the organization, what about our work is important to you to have you want to do this, right? So I would try to get from them something that you can use to fundraise later.
Right.
The event itself, if that's what they want to do, no harm in that. But I would turn it into, I would say, are you willing? You know, one, it's the resource. They're going to buy all the stuff. They're going to provide all the stuff. They're going to do all the things, right? They're paying for everything.
Right.
But would you also be willing to help us leverage this experience to invite others to give money? Because we can't run this organization on cookies.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't say it like that, but you get my point.
No, absolutely.
I would ask them, would you be willing to do an interview on how you hope that this cookie baking experience could help the organization raise money? Now, it may come down to, well, we just like baking cookies. We just love the kids. We just want to get in there with the kids. We just want to experience the kids, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not that, but yeah,
I would ask
yes.
the question. I would have to ask the question.
Because I feel like what brought them back was the luncheon they did for us. So they did a luncheon, and by the end of the luncheon, you would have swore it was a family gathering. Like they were interacting, electric slide, having a good old time.
Mm-hmm.
My residents kept on thanking them and telling them this felt like family. I don't have a good relationship with my family. This felt nice.
Sparked it.
And
That's
right.
there. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I could encourage them to talk about that experience and leading to this experience and why it's important.
Well, even if they're not willing to, I would ask them for the interview first. I would ask them for the interview. I would ask them about the connection from the previous event to this event. What causes them to be, excited about your work and the young people? I would capture that to let others know that this is an amazing organization and you guys do great work, right? I would also take lots of pictures of this experience and then do your voiceovers. This group of women who recognize that every child that goes away from home needs a support system. Back in the day, when you would travel out of state or out of country, out of state or away from home, your mother and father would say, pick up the phone, make sure you call cousin so-and-so, make sure you call auntie so-and-so, somebody you don't even know, but make sure you call them because they're going to look out for you. They're going to watch you. They're going to welcome you home, right? They're going to give you a connection while you're away from home. And these women see the importance of many of these young people are away from home, and we're that connection away from home for security. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's a very uncomfortable. You getting on a plane and mom said, did you call cousin so-and-so, auntie so-and-so? I told them you were coming. So they're expecting a phone call. And you're like, okay. And they're really waiting on that phone call because they want to be that safe place if you need anything. I turned that
that's
into
great.
A whole story.
Right. No, that's good. Thank you, because I was stuck on that.
Mm-hmm. Or was it just my mother that did that? Even now,
no. No, and that's exactly what it is, Miss Jen. And I feel like you put it into words. Like I knew that, but you clearly put it into words now. Being that support system, because that's what it was at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a question. It's probably just because I'm ignorant to this, but what is not good for like the backpack events, or what, I don't know what you call them, but like the
backpack events, child. What I don't like about them is because everybody and their mother is giving out backpacks. Everybody named mother. You can go to 10 different look at this, Bella.
I
You
hate
can go to at least 10 different backpack events in any neighborhood. Every church,
Oh my
a
God.
thousand on a block have backpack drive. These kids, first of all, are not carrying all them backpacks. They're not. They're not.
Yeah.
So now you got all these backpacks filled with school supplies that's going to last them a week. My thing is, if you're gonna support school supplies, then support the classrooms beyond the first day of the first week of class. Now that's my rant. God help me, knows I can go further into it. I can go further. But that's my thing.
Instead of that, I'm just trying to come up with like sustainable ideas instead of that, because I agree with that. I see a lot of people. I can think about 3 of them right now, at the minimum from what I've heard that I know that's going on.
They got they got 2 pencils, they got a pen, they got a tablet, they have a ruler, they may have an eraser in that big old backpack.
I mean, like, what could be an alternative?
Support the classroom.
Okay.
Raise some money to support the teacher.
Okay.
Because she's spending money out of her pocket to have to provide supplies for all these kids. That's sustainable.
Okay.
Adopt a classroom and make sure that teacher has everything that's needed for those kids.
You're all going to hate me, but I used to do the backpack thing and it actually worked for me. But I'll tell you why it worked for me, because we were at an actual after school program. And so it would get families in. And what I noticed was the most convenient after schools were taken by many. And the ones that had the struggle were the ones who needed like unorthodox times, or their children had special needs. And so they were concerned about putting them into a, regular schmegular program. So that's the only reason why it worked in my last job, because we got people in there and it was more like a social event. So we had like snacks and videos of our program and such. So it was also like a way to register kids for the after school program.
I get it.
But I did smell like crayons at the end of the day, and I don't miss that. So
Bella, what are your 2 cents? I
absolutely hate those backpack drives. I hate them. And I think it's because I'm nice meeting you. I think it's because by me already being active in the community, like right now, it's one almost every weekend, if not 2.
Yeah. Anyway, they're gonna do them. They're gonna do them up. My thing is, if you're getting donations, right? A lot of this is in kind. You're going down there to the Dollar Tree. You're going down there clearing the shelves down at the Big Lots, and you are wiping the shelves off of all the backpacks, so that when other kids are ready to go and buy their backpacks, they can't. Whatever. All right, so you done cleared the shelves of the backpacks, but it has not drawn any impact. There's no impact to backpacks. You can't tell me that you've given that activity so much energy. If you're asking for money for the backpacks, my thing is get the donors involved in it. Don't just ask them for the $5 to buy a backpack, but get them engaged in passing them out or leaving a note or a message of inspiration or something, hearing back from the students after they got the backpack. Because of you, my mom who couldn't afford a backpack, thank you for giving me a backpack because my mom didn't have the money to go to school. I don't see the engagement effort. I just don't see the, I don't know. Maybe I'm too into, if it's an activity, there better be an impact tied to it. Otherwise, why are we spending all this time? Not to say that backpacks are not good. I'm not, I'm not anti-backpacks. I just hate these backpack drives. That's all I'm saying. And I'm standing on it. I've been saying it forever. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna get off that because I get real tied up emotionally. I don't know why. I don't know why. All right. Any other questions? Any other comments? Girl, I go to the floor. I go to the mat behind these backpacks. I'll be ready to take you out.
Miss Jen's just throwing them off the truck. Like, catch them if you can.
I'm not a heartless person. I think kids should go to school, all right, that's nice. But do we need 30 backpack drives within a 2-block radius? And then what do they do with the ones that they can't give away, right? Because you got everybody who's got 100 backpacks. They don't went to Walmart. They don't went to Target. They don't gone to the big lots. They don't gone to the Dollar Tree. They don't got all the backpacks. You don't even know that many kids. So now you got all these backpacks left over. You done hoarded all the backpacks. And I know people who put them in their garage to pull out next year for another backpack drive. I'm like, you are hoarding backpacks?
Yeah, by the way, don't do that because they disintegrate, especially the cheap ones. Yes. They're like dust at the end of the year. So no, it doesn't work out. Yeah. But I think that's a good example of when an activity doesn't affect impact. I feel like I'm going to think about that like whenever I'm planning, because it also is like it's so overdone. It just looks like a lack of creativity.
Definitely. Definitely.
I think what I would probably do is find a way to replace the school supplies, but probably like with essentials like maybe underwear or uniforms or like shoes. And I know some of those things could get expensive, but I mean, like if it were like socks and underwear or something, right? If we had some left over, they could donate it to a shelter.
Well, see, that's where I would start. I would start with the kids in the shelter.
Okay.
I would start there.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones most likely, in my opinion, not to have the school supplies. I would start there. I would start with the kids who are homeless, living on the street in cars and having to be prepared to go to school.
That actually worked. Yeah, that actually worked. And I did that for our program because they needed book bags, not just for school. They were transient. And so they needed book bags to gather all their things and move from one place to another. So that was, you're right on it, Miss Jen.
Yeah. But taking it to this big old church that's got 2,000, 4,000 members and giving out backpacks to the members who go to this church. Not to say that the people who go to this church should not and do not deserve backpacks. That's not what I'm saying to the people who are going to listen to this replay. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if it is to meet those who have a need, start with those who have a need first. All right, I'm gonna get off that right now. Thank you for bringing that up, Kay. You hit a nerve. You hit a nerve, and I got off my chest. I feel a whole lot better now. I do. I feel a whole lot better now. All right. Any questions? Any comments about board members and about what we're talking about? I may have to trim all of this off the replay. I probably don't need to have everybody listening to my rantings and antics about the backpack. So if y'all get this and you don't hear nothing about If y'all don't hear nothing about the backpacks on the replay, just know I just trimmed all of that off from Kay saying I have a question. It's gonna cut off right there. Okay. All right, y'all. If there are no other questions, I'm gonna get out of this. I want to say tomorrow is Wednesday, okay? Tomorrow is check-in day. I want you guys to come prepared, check in, talk about where you are midweek with your weekly accountability. Are we on task with getting our things accomplished between now and the end of the week? I just want to be accountable to our goals and our activities. I'm gonna hold y'all accountable to what you got in these accountability things, right? Because that's what it's for. All right. Any questions, any comments? Any questions, any comments? All right. I will see you all then tomorrow.